Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. This is Orrin Johnson filling in for Sam Shad. Joining me today is Senator Scott Hammond of Senate District 18. Next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Big R in Sparks is located on Bering Boulevard next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. It's a 50,000 square foot hardware store and a whole lot more. It's huge with clothing, power equipment, tools, and of course, hardware. Big R is located on Bering Boulevard in Sparks, next to Smith's and opposite Reed High School. Big R. Hardware and a whole lot more.
Love and luck are in the air at Carson Valley Inn. $1,000 winners guaranteed every drawing night. Up to $7,500 every Saturday. And $15,000 in grand prize giveaways Friday, March 31st. It's the Love and Luck giveaways at the Carson Valley Inn.
The Do It Right guys at Nevada Heating have one mission. Your furnace breaks down today? We fix it today. Why freeze for days while your furnace is down when Nevada Heating can get the job done today and you can get warm again? For nearly 50 years, locally owned Nevada Heating has been getting the job done right. Call today at 323-5585 and we'll fix it today. That's 323-5585 or online at nevadaheating.com.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
When in Carson City, Nevada Newsmakers records in the conference room at the Bank Saloon. Coverage of the 2023 legislative session is brought to you by Liberty Dental Plan, making members shine one smile at a time. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. The Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, your RTC, our community. NV Energy, proudly serving Nevada, providing electricity to 2.4 million electric customers. And by Nevada Builders Alliance, building a better Nevada.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
Welcome back to Nevada Newsmakers. This is Orrin Johnson filling in for Sam Shad. With me today is Senator Scott Hammond from Senate District 18, representing portions of Clark County. Thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure to be here with you. Looking forward to a good discussion.
All right, so let's jump right into it. You know, I love doing this during the legislative session when there's actual bills to talk about, actual details to get into. And you're kind of known as the education guy, the school choice guy. And so let's talk about that with SB 200. Which reinstates the ESA program and that sort of thing that was taken away last session. Tell us about it.
Yeah, actually it was taken away in 2019.
Oh, okay.
And really it was a result of me not cooperating with the governor at the time. They wanted to take away the trigger that they had put in with the commerce tax that actually would have reduced the modified business tax for businesses here in the state if the commerce tax had come in at a certain level. Remember, there was going to be a trigger, and they wanted us to get rid of that. We hadn't even installed it yet. The trigger hadn't been used yet, and they wanted us to get rid of it, and I just couldn't go along with that because I felt personally that this is what the voters hate. They hate it when you do something, you promise something, and then don't deliver. And I promised that we were going to have that trigger. By voting for that at the time, I promised.
And you're talking about the sunsets on the commerce tax, so that they go away after the
right. It was actually a trigger. So the commerce tax, if it came in at a certain level, then it triggered a reduction in the modified business tax for certain businesses in the state of Nevada. And so the governor really wanted to get rid of that, keep that tax in place. And in exchange for that, he was going to keep the ESA and, of course, promised me a bunch of other things that I wanted personally for that legislative session. I just couldn't do it. There's just no way I could get to that point. And so as a retaliation to that, they took away the ESA. So here we are trying to reinstate it, put it back on the books, and then hopefully get some funding for it.
So the previous governor obviously did not care for the ESAs. He was pretty explicit about that in his campaigns and his public statements. Obviously, the new governor, Governor Lombardo, has been much more supportive of school choice and that type of thing. Nevertheless, you're in the minority party in the legislature.
Yep.
Do you think SB 200 has a chance of seeing life? Are we going to get ESAs back?
Okay, so we have to define life, right? I think it's on life support, if you will. Just barely alive. Look, for me, it's always about having that option there. So you have to have it, or else, if the time comes and there's negotiations that are going on, and you don't have it, then you don't have the chance of having it instated. And so we have to make sure that, for me, we had to have it there. And so it's there, it's a bill, it can be used. If for some reason we get to the close to the end of session and we have to discuss other, what do they want, what do we want, and it's available, then I think we have a chance of getting it through. And it's really, I don't know how much we would be able to put into it, but having it on the books is important.
So beyond just that bill, though, there's a lot of school choice, obviously, especially the last couple of years. I mean, the COVID responses have done huge damage to public schools and public school children. A lot of parents just on their own, seeking other options and that sort of thing. And it's not necessarily a partisan thing at all. Based on that, is there appetite? Is there, and with the new governor and some of the things that he ran on and frankly won, is there appetite to expand school choice and that sort of thing in Nevada?
Yeah, and I think that you pointed out that the governor won, and the governor didn't shy away from this issue. He actually made that part of his platform when he was running, and he won. And so that tells you that there's a lot of people out there who would like to see this pass. And you're right, there's a sort of a reaction, actually an understanding, an acknowledgement during COVID that this is necessary, that parents have to have options, that when one entity says we're going to shut down schools and don't put kids in front of teachers or whatever delivery of education was happening for that student, when that completely ends, parents have to have something. And so we had micro schools that were born. You had parents who were looking to do things at home, supplement the education that was not taking place. And so I think that this is a great time to actually take advantage of what the parents, grandparents in many instances, grandparents are out there trying to educate these kids because they were at home. And parents still had to go out there and work. And so grandparents were pitching in. And so they're looking at us saying, what can we do? We need other alternatives. ESAs are a great alternative, but there are more things. Like I said, micro schools are a good thing. Actually, trying to remove some of the barriers that exist in the private school sector. Our private school sector is probably, it's more regulated than any other state that I know of. So we need to do things to help them so they can expand their endeavors.
Well, and there is a lot of regulation with private and charter schools. And a lot of that regulation from the Charter School Authority, there was an effort during COVID to use COVID as an excuse to shut down all charter schools, so saying that they're unsafe.
Yep.
My kids went to a charter school that was super concerning to us. Rebecca Fiden's the executive director of the Charter School Authority, who is part of that effort, and she's still there as far as I know. Is there personnel changes or working with the governor? Are any of those things changing?
Yeah, well, I think you're absolutely, you said it, there's been a new change in leadership at the top, and when the new change in leadership occurs, then there's new direction, and the new direction is trying to make life a little easier for charter school operators to operate and to deliver that education. And I think that it's a new day, and so I'm pretty optimistic that the new governor here is going to make sure that educating our children, no matter how we do it, is going to be a priority, no matter what the delivery system is. And I always harp on the delivery system because I think that's the one thing that we're missing, which is what an ESA does, that creates a platform for innovative ideas to be delivered. And that's what I'm aiming at.
All right, and that's a great place to go out on as we go to the next segment. So we'll be right back.
Win some Leprechaun loot during the $75,000 all-cash Go Green giveaways. More than 150 winners in all. Find your pot of gold with $15,000 in weekly cash giveaways guaranteed. And $25,000 in grand prize giveaways, including a $15,000 cash top prize. It's a good time to win at Tamarack Casino.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you. Safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators. From the exotic to the everyday. Trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
It's a good time to win at Tamarack Casino.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Welcome back to Nevada Newsmakers. This is Orrin Johnson filling in for Sam Schatt. If you're just joining us, with me today is Senator Scott Hammond from Senate District 18. We're talking about school choice, education reform, all kinds of other things. So one of the interesting bills that you have is SB 158, which does it require cameras to be in every classroom in public schools?
No, no. It actually requires the cameras be installed in certain classrooms if they meet the criteria. And what we're really trying to do is protect kids that are in special education that cannot verbalize. They can't talk. They can't express themselves, and so they're nonverbal. And so when something happens, I mean, you can imagine, you're a parent, right? Your child comes home, there's bruises all over their arms, or maybe even, their face. I mean, it's horrible, right? So you're looking at them and you just, what happened? Well, they can tell you, I was on the playground, I was running, and then I tripped and fell, and that's great. But if your kid can't verbalize what happened to them, and they're going to a classroom and they can't tell, I would want something in that classroom so that I can see what had happened. And so what we're requiring is that there be cameras in those particular classrooms, and that they record during instructional periods so we can actually find out what was going on. And it actually is a great protection for not only the students, but for the teachers who are delivering the education, the aid workers who are working a lot of times in those special education classrooms. That's what we're aiming to do, is to protect the students, the parents, and also the teachers in the classroom.
It's interesting. It sounds like the debate over body-worn cameras that police officers initially were pretty hesitant about, and now most police officers I know are happy to have the body-worn cameras. Yeah. Why limit it to just those classrooms? Why not have it in every classroom?
Well, eventually I think that's what's going to happen, but I'm telling you right now, what we're trying to do is protect those kids who are nonverbal. They just can't express themselves, and I can't imagine the horror that some of these parents go through, because not knowing what happened to their child during that class day. I mean, they have them on buses. They already have it so that they can view video of what's going on the buses, because sometimes a lot of things occur on those bus rides into schools, and so they have them there. This is just a matter of trying to make sure we protect those kids. I would imagine that if I always tell my daughters, my son, if you're in a classroom and something happens to a child who can't protect themselves, you got to speak up. You got to speak up and let everybody know what happened. We have that. We don't have it for kids who cannot.
So what about the argument, though, that every other kid is captured on camera too, and certainly parents of other children have, don't necessarily want their kids' stuff broadcast all over the internet or available to every other parent or that sort of thing. Yeah. What's your response to that?
Yeah, well, the cameras aren't live. It's not live, it's recordings. And so there's only certain people who have access to those recordings. And if for some reason they need to access the video of a particular day to view what happened, then there's going to be somebody who's going to go in there and scrub out all the background. It's only going to be the only people when you need to. You're going to only see the student in question and the faculty member, teacher. That's all you're going to see. They're going to be able to blur out the faces of those who are active.
But doesn't that give doesn't that take away the power of the parents to kind of review that? If the school did do something wrong and wanted to cover it up, then doesn't that negate the whole benefit of having the cameras in there? If parents don't have kind of independent access to the
parents will have it. Yes, parents will have access. There's about, if you look at the bill, I believe there's about 5 people who have access to it: law enforcement, parents, staff member of the school who actually will be handling the video, and then administration. I believe it's about the only ones who can look at it, and they can look at it raw. They just cannot. If they need to use it for some reason later on in a court of law, of course, they're going to scrub out everybody else in there so that nobody else can see what's going on.
Is there, though, but inevitably, there's going to be, somebody's going to see something with other people's kids and all that sort of thing. Is that just a trade-off you're willing to make? Is that something you think you can mitigate completely? I'm curious where your thoughts are on that balance.
Yeah, well, I think that sometimes you have to balance it. And a lot of times those parents who have students in those classrooms, they're pretty, they understand each other. And I think that they would probably go, whatever you need, because when I've had these committee hearings, I've never seen a group of people come together quicker and more cohesively than these parents, because they all share that same experience of not knowing what's going on. So I really feel like that's just sort of the secondary thing that they have to worry about. The first thing is what happened in that classroom, and then making sure the thing happened. And going back to your, when you were talking about the body cameras on police officers, there was that hesitation. I was there when we passed that. But now you look at what's happening now, and the police officer, when they report to a scene, they're more relaxed. They know what's going on. They're better behaved, but so is the public. The public is more behaved because they know that there are body cameras on there. It's actually been good for policing.
Well, I loved him when I was a prosecutor. I love him as a defense attorney. You get no argument from me about the value of body-worn cameras, and so I appreciate that. And on that, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org. Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Hi, I'm Renee Summerhour, digital news anchor here at 7 at 7. Watch our streaming nonstop newscast immediately with your mobile phone. 7 at 7 is the new way for you to get every bit of local news you need in just 7 minutes. Breaking news, local neighborhood news, weather, and sports are just a click away. Reporters bring you all of what's happening in the Valley. From Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube, and more. Get every bit of local news you need from the RJ and LVRJ.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And welcome back to Nevada Newsmakers. This is Orrin Johnson filling in for Sam Shad. If you're just joining us, with me is Senator Scott Hammond from Senate District 18. So I want to talk about a couple of, there's several bills that you're sponsoring that I sort of group together in my mind that deal with regulating various professions and that sort of thing. And this is something that, as a relatively recent small business owner, has become much more interesting to me in recent years. So one is SB 249, which has a whole bunch of different regulations about cosmetologists and esthetologists and makeup artists and that sort of thing. Tell us a little bit about that and what the purpose of that bill is.
So I'm a co-sponsor on that, if I'm not mistaken, and that particular bill is Senator Lang's bill. Senator Lang tackled this issue 2 years ago, and the issue is, of course, there's a lot of new techniques in that area, and I say new, but it's not like I've micro-dermatologist, I don't have that background, but I know
you
that
look
it's
great, though. So
not that I would use it right now. But anyway, I love it because with these folks who are in this business, who are in this industry, they come and they say, we need to make sure that we're regulating it so the actors inside that industry, they play by a certain rule. They play by certain rules, I should say. And so they came to Senator Lang, and she worked it all out last session. However, like with a lot of other legislation, nothing is perfect. And so you put it into play, you implement the new law, and then you realize at times there might be some changes that need to occur. And so you come back and you do some of that cleanup. That's what's occurring with this particular bill. She's working with a lot of different groups of people in that industry, and they're just trying to clean it up so that they, again, are playing by the same rules, but that there's safety issues involved.
And I get that, but as a broader issue, when I was reading that bill, because I was curious, and I'm always curious about it, it deregulates some previous regulations about hair braiding, and this is a famous case from an organization called the Institute for Justice that sued about this stuff. When I was in law school, I remember that it was a big deal. But when I see this kind of very almost micromanaging regulation of makeup artists and that sort of thing, I mean, every teenage girl puts on her own makeup and isn't stabbing her own eye out. At some point, who are we helping? Who are we saving? Doesn't this wind up acting essentially as almost a protection racket for existing businesses and make it harder for other people to break into the industry?
It can be, right? And so when we do these kinds of bills, you do have to make sure. I love it when they introduce the bill, because then you all of a sudden have a conversation about it where both people come in, both sides. Some people are going to come in and say, I don't like this bill and this is why. And so we as lawmakers learn about, what are the details are coming out. And so, I don't know everything about that particular issue, but here we go. We're going to go in and talk about, this is micromanaging. It's too much. We don't really need this. Okay, let's pull back that part of the conversation. And I love the compromise that happens, right? Because you want to get your bill through, but you want to make sure it is good public policy. And so, I've done this, time and time again. When you've been in there, this was my 7th session. You love these discussions because the bill starts off here and ends up somewhere else. And it's because somebody voices a concern like you do, and that is, are we not micromanaging? Are we going too far?
Well, in Nevada, historically is one of the absolute worst states for these types of regulations all over the place. There's attempts to do it for criminal defense attorneys who handle indigent defense cases. The result of that has been fewer attorneys willing to take on the cases because the regulations are a pain in the butt, and now we have some real crises in terms of doing that. So these types of regulations have real consequences. There's another one a little near and dear to my heart about increasing some of the licensing requirements for people doing certified transcripts. So what was that born out of?
That is the court reporter bill. That is the one that I actually am sponsoring, and it's the court reporters, the board itself, that said, "Hey, we need to look at this. We have folks that are, they do video recordings, and they're not really covered on our board. We don't have jurisdiction over them. And so if they do something, we can't exactly find them. We can't exactly get them back in line. And so they're just trying to cover them and put them back in there.
But why do that at all? If a transcript is poor, there's a recording that exists and is saved. Why create the regulation in the first place? If they do a bad job, the judge just doesn't hire them again, or the individual attorneys don't hire them again. Why is it necessary that they be under the auspices of this regulatory board?
And that's the thing that when I've talked to the board, they said, look, we don't mind if they go and create their own board, create their own set of regulations.
Why have a board at all?
Only because it looks bad on them. Because I think when a board is supposed to be regulating an industry, and there are actors who are outside of the jurisdiction, and yet it's a poor reflection on them, they'd like to make sure that they have some sort of ability to rein them in. And so when they don't, they want to try and find some way to do that. And so I think that was the rationale behind that particular bill. And there's some other cleanup stuff that's in there, but that's pretty much the rationale behind it. And I've heard back from a couple of the videographers. There's some that actually helped write the language to make sure that everybody's on the same page. They're playing out of the same playbook. And there's some that don't like it, and they come in and they express exactly why they don't like it. As I said, the conversation is important. But that's kind of why I decided to take that particular bill and run with it.
No, fair enough. So we got about a minute left. What other kind of legislative priorities or anything else that you're looking at, or things you're trying to stop from happening, are important to you in this session?
My biggest priority really is looking at education, and not necessarily from the everybody's got to go to college viewpoint. I've been spending a lot of time talking about college, or talking about career technical education. About 5 years ago, our economy changed. It's more of a skills-based economy, and yet our education isn't nimble enough. Our education system isn't nimble enough to kind of make that transition and pivot. And we need to get more kids. We need to get them access to any kind of classes that will build up their skill level. So credentialing, stacking credentials, and then getting these kids opportunities to go work-based learning. So you're going to have some transportation involvement. So that's the big thing I'm trying to work on.
All right, and ending opportunities with kids is never a bad place to end a show. So thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. We're going to be right back.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
Snorkel personnel lifts are engineered beyond the industry norm to an uncommon level of safety and durability, and with an eye towards sustainability. They're also designed to be simple to operate and maintain. Snorkel, always at the cutting edge of progress.
With Nevada's only transplant center and verified burn center, the science is here. With award-winning cardiologist and the state's only dedicated heart failure clinic, the talent is here. With Nevada's most advanced robotic surgery, the technology is here. And with the Silver State's only designated pediatric trauma center, hope is here. All because we are here. UMC.
Brian Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
When in Carson City, Nevada Newsmakers records in the conference room at the Bank Saloon. Coverage of the 2023 legislative session is brought to you by Liberty Dental Plan, making members shine one smile at a time. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. The Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, your RTC, our community. NV Energy, proudly serving Nevada, providing electricity to 2.4 million electric customers. And by Nevada Builders Alliance, building a better Nevada.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been Orrin Johnson filling in for Sam Shad. You can join us 24/7 at NevadaNewsmakers.com. We'll see you next time.